guest who you'll love.
And now I have to edit that. Thank you so much for that. Welcome back to another episode of Brilliantly Resilient Live. And we get to say live today because it works. Otherwise, I have to say live, sort of. So we have two shows. We have the live show and the live sort of. So we are so excited to bring you one of the most fun people on the planet. And I do have a burning question that I didn't tell you before we started, but we will get into that for our buddy, Tyler J. McCall, who is the Instagram king, the Target shopping king.
I miss it
You
so
must
much.
be dying.
It's so hard.
But that is part of, that's one of the questions I have for you today is how can those of us that have that, are you still feeding that need for the Target shopping? We can get into that one. But Tyler is who I have learned so much from you about Instagram. And I actually just joined your Facebook group today. So listeners out there, if you're trying to get a handle on Instagram, which is typically I'm like, I hate it, doesn't work for me. And then all these things do work. And then I'm like, oh my God, I love Instagram again. So I have the ultimate love-hate relationship with Instagram. But you taught me so much in one episode of our other podcast when you said Instagram stories, beginning, middle, and end. Always remember that. And honestly, I do that now with everything. And I thought you came instantly to mind when we came up with this show, Tyler, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is some people's right now. It's an end to one of their journeys or things that they're doing. Some people get to have a beginning right now as we're in this whole shutdown of the globe. And some people are trying to figure out where to be in the middle. So could you please solve all of our life's problems right now? You have time since Target's not an option for you, and help us figure this out. But welcome to Brilliantly Resilient. And how are you doing in all of this?
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me. I'm doing well. Before we went live, I was telling you about my adventure in getting my first quarantine haircut last night. So we're about 5 weeks in. So Friday, March 13th was my husband and I's last public appearance. We went to dinner that evening with some friends. And then after that, we said we're going into hiding until further notice. But I had a haircut scheduled that week. And I had been traveling all of February. I know this is the riveting content you're all here for. I've been traveling all of February.
It is.
So I came home on like March 6th, one of the last flights out of California back to the East Coast before, all heck broke loose. And my barber canceled on me because he was sick the week I got home.
With the COVID stuff?
Well, he said it was a sinus infection, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, sure.
So I didn't get a haircut. So I've been honestly 2 months past due for a haircut. So last night about 11 o'clock, sitting in our bathroom, my husband about half a bottle of red wine into his evening, cut my hair with our Black Friday deal beard trimmer, and I think it looks good. I think it worked out well.
It looks great. And hey, at least there was a beard trimmer involved and it wasn't like kitchen shears or something. I mean,
that's right.
That could have been a disaster. Let's call that.
I'm making a little note here. Because I have been clearly hacking away at my own, and I'm going to do half bottle red wine.
Yes. I think that's the secret. Yes.
That's the key. That's the key to making it look decent. Oh my gosh.
All good haircuts. I feel like you either need some red wine or like a recent breakup, right? That's what gets you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's funny, you're singing my song because I was supposed to get mine done right before the shutdown, but Mary Fran and we launched Brilliantly Resilient on March 7th, and I didn't have time to get mine done and everything redone, and then had pushed it to like a week and a half later, and then everything shut down. So I'm like,
so you're telling me it's Mary Fran's fault now? I'm glad to know.
We usually trace things back to that conclusion. Somehow or another, it ends up being that's the conclusion.
I love that.
I'm okay with that. It really doesn't bother me.
Yeah, you see how bothered she is.
This is me. This is my upset face.
But y'all, in honesty, like I'm doing pretty good over here. It's interesting, right? I don't know if y'all are experiencing this, like being grateful for the positive things that are coming out of this, but at the same time, like being heartbroken, like all hours of the day by just like the stories of people who are getting sick or people who are dying. For me, it's like the story of local businesses, people that are out of work, can't pay their
Yep.
bills, can't, like, that's the stuff that's just like ripping my heart out on a daily basis. So it's it's trying to strike that balance, I think. And for some reason today in particular, like, I've been waking up the past few days, this morning included, just like with a really heavy heart about what's happening in the world. But at the same time, trying to find the gratitude for having time at home with my husband, being grateful for having a home that I can call my own, those types of things. But this is just hard.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
It is,
really
but
is.
I got to tell you this, and this is why I'm so happy that we're chatting with you today. In the midst of, I have so many friends whose their businesses are on hold.
Yeah.
The first 2 weeks was so hard watching, like, my friends that own restaurants and breweries and stuff, and it just got slammed shut. Then, though, as we're talking to people on this show, and we have our Brilliantly Resilient group, a small tribe right now, and watching people's resilience. So watching my friends that are coming up with ideas for, like, my one friend, they own a little bar restaurant in this really cool part of Philly, and they just had to shut down. Then they were like, what do we do about all our employees? Oh my gosh. And then they're not sleeping. They came up with these little pop-up nights where they just decide on one menu item, and they have a socially distanced line around the block. Everybody's happy to get out, get the take. So everyone's coming up with these new ideas to, at first we thought it was going to be 2-3 weeks we had to carry the bridge, and now the bridge is like going longer and longer. But watching all of this resilience and people coming together and new ideas. So that's where I kind of want to land a little bit here about, people that we talk about, the sucker punch hits and they have to reset. Then, you reset your mindset, you look at your values, you decide where you're going to go. Then the rise and uncovering the brilliant things that are happening. And so many people are reaching out to us saying, I can't work this job. So one of my good friends is finally writing her story of this incredible journey. She's starting her book. Other people are deciding they're going to go out and be a speaker. So they're learning how to do all of that right now. So I'm wondering, because you have such a talent and reach with Instagram, everyone has to be online right now. It's the only thing you can do. If somebody is looking to start something new or pivot in their in real life thing that they're already doing, where can they start with something like Instagram to get their mission still out there?
Yeah, I think there's two key things that you can do. I think the first thing is stopping and observing. And what I'm really noticing is that the businesses, the brands, the entrepreneurs, the small business owners that are really that are making those pivots, that are having those incredible results right now, that are keeping the lights on and keeping people paid, are the ones that have done their best to shut up and to shut out the noise and to just tune into what their people are looking for and what their people need. And I get it, y'all. I get how difficult that is. But if you can, and this is something, you don't have to do it all the time, but if you can just find yourself in these small moments throughout the day where you can just capture these moments of stillness. Like, I think for me, an example of that is I live in the mountains of Western North Carolina, one of the most beautiful places on the planet. And right outside of our dining room, we have this really high little narrow window. You can actually see one just behind me. This is in one of our upstairs bedrooms. We have these downstairs as well. And there is this gorgeous tree that grows right outside of this window in our neighbor's yard. I hope they never cut it down because I'll be really sad. And when all of this started, that tree was just starting to bloom. I know y'all are like, what is this tree hugger hippie talking about? Just follow me for a minute. That tree was just starting to bloom, and it was so gorgeous. And I noticed within about 10 days, all the blooms were gone and the leaves were on the tree. But what was so incredible is that I was able to actually watch that tree bloom and get to the point of the leaves growing onto the tree.
Wow.
And because I took small moments throughout every single day just to take notice of that. And when else in our life have we ever done that? I honestly don't think I've ever in my life, in the 32 years I've been on this planet, consciously watched spring happen where I live. Yeah. How incredible is that we're in a place now where we kind of don't have any other choice. So in those still small moments, you can also take those times to pay attention and tune into what your people are saying. what they're looking for, what they're asking for, what they need help with. And I think that is where you can jump on Instagram and create content or tell a story or provide value by simply tuning in. So I think that's the first thing. It's just shutting out the noise, paying attention, listening to what people are doing, this whole idea of leaning in, right? And paying attention to what they're saying. And then the other side of this with Instagram is thinking of those creative solutions and being willing to create and do something without knowing whether or not it's going to work. You know, it's really interesting. So many people keep referring to these as uncertain times or unprecedented times. I don't know about y'all, but entrepreneurship is really uncertain and really unprecedented, like every single day.
Yes, that's a perfect point to make. It's absolutely true.
Yeah,
We're
we're always
all in it.
Yeah, we're always making it up as we go along. We're always trying to figure it out. And if anyone is prepared for situations like this, it is the entrepreneur, the creative, the artist, the maker, the storyteller, because these are the moments in which we can identify opportunities to serve other people. So coming up with creative solutions to problems and acting on it as quickly as it feels right to you. For example, for me, when all of this started, that first week, when we started seeing government shutdowns, stay-at-home orders for us here where we are, our county had stay-at-home orders much earlier than our state did. So we were seeing those things happening. So I just, in the middle of the night, one night, that first week of being at home, woke up incredibly inspired to have conversations about how to support business owners in an age of a global pandemic. And that Friday, I sat down at my kitchen island with my iPad, and in 4 hours, I had an entire week-long video series planned out with 20 guest speakers, all scheduled out, ready to go, content, graphics made, emails sent, all of this done, because I allow myself to be completely inspired from a place of service to my people. Not caring whether or not anyone showed up, not caring if it worked, not caring if it moved my business forward. And then we kicked that off that Sunday, and within 24 hours had over 1,000 people in a Facebook group, had over 16,000 views on a Facebook Live, just by using that inspiration, that inspired action, that heart for service and showing up. And I think every day we're seeing, if you're looking for the good right now, you're seeing the local news stories, your local paper, local blogs, local news stations talking about the businesses that have transitioned to making face masks, the businesses that are giving away free meals for kids for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, the businesses that are giving away free delivery or free food or supplies to healthcare workers. We're seeing all of this goodness around us. And that's coming from people that are allowing themselves to be inspired and who are just moving with that inspiration.
I love it.
You know, you talked about this, one of these things that's a core thing with us, and it's the concept of not being married to the outcome.
Yeah.
We talk about that all the time. And when you just said that, you create it in the spirit of service. You create from a place of service without knowing if it's going to work. But I think the thing that's interesting about that is that we're finding more and more that when people operate from that, and Kristen and I, this is another thing we've found running through all of these interviews that we're doing, when people operate from a place of their value system and where like being of service and those kinds of things are important, they are creating these amazing things that always in some way end up making the world better, making things easier for somebody else, helping somebody else through this pathway. So, you know, that those themes are kind of running through everything.
Mm-hmm. They really are. Yeah. And I think if there's ever a time for people to do without expectation or to lead with that servant heart, I mean, now is the time. Now's the time to do it. And I think another thing is that and not that this is the reason you should be doing it, but the benefit of this is that when the dust settles and when this is over, and it will be over, God knows when, but at some point we'll have some kind of normalcy in our life. Mm-hmm. Who do you think people are going to remember? Who do you think people are going to be loyal to as a business? Who do you think they're going to make sure that they keep their lights on in the future? It's those people that are showing up right now and being inspired and serving people and doing it without any expectation. And they're going to get their reward in the future, I think.
You know, that's interesting because we've talked to several people that have brick and mortar businesses on this show and talking about how they pivoted real quick. And well, actually, Jen Compton, who has a fitness business, said that her husband made her pause. pause, take a listen, what do they need, and then they did these online classes. But everyone that we've talked to that has the brick and mortar that is succeeding now and keeping things going, they all had built a community.
Yeah.
And they look at this now as how can they still serve their community, and their communities they serve are already helping them get back on their feet. So your point is exactly right. That's they started it from the very beginning, and it's carrying through, and they'll still be with them on the other side for sure.
Yeah, totally.
That's cool.
So can people, I mean, through Instagram, how can people kind of get that message across? Like maybe that wasn't their focus prior to all of this. Maybe they weren't thinking like, how can I serve? Maybe they were thinking, how can I sell? So how can they sort of make that switch on a platform and kind of get that new message across?
Definitely. So I think one of the things we need to consider right now is what content people are looking for online, because I mean, you're right. We talked about this earlier. People are going to social media more than ever before. I think people are consuming more content, more media than they ever have. And that's, for the good and the bad of what's happening in the world.
Right.
But I think a lot of folks who are consciously consuming are looking for content that is allowing them to be inspired, that is teaching them something new, that is challenging maybe thoughts or beliefs they've had before, because they finally had time to slow down and to listen to their intuition and tune into things like that. And I think now's the time on Instagram for you to consider what content you need to be creating to meet people where they are. So in the early days of this, we were talking a lot about how you can create escapist content on Instagram, content that is allowing people to escape the day-to-day, allowing them to escape the mundane or the overwhelm of navigating their emotions or feelings related to COVID-19. And I think the escapist part is still important, but I think we've kind of graduated and so rapidly, this is just, a month old at this point, but we've graduated to a place now where the escapist content is great, but now it's time to consider what content you can create that is allowing people to take the next step. So I'm seeing a lot of content creators or entrepreneurs that have always talked about a certain topic who are now pivoting in such a way to still talk about that topic within the context of what's happening now. And then giving their people next steps, things that they can do, things they can consider to make a difference. A great example of this is locally here in Western North Carolina, we have a large YMCA association, of which I was a former employee. I started my career at the Y. That's what I did for the longest time. And they've pivoted in incredible ways. And they've been telling the story of the Y throughout this entire pivot. It's really showcasing that the Y is more than just a swim in a gym. But one thing they've done in service of their community is they are live streaming fitness classes all day, every day. Like every YMCA association is assigned a couple of classes a day, and they live stream those on Facebook and share them over to the main YMCA Facebook page. And this is for anyone, for the general public, because they know people are at home and they're looking for fitness. And whenever people are looking to rejoin a gym after this, or when they're looking for somewhere to go to work out, when they can go work out in person again, who do you think is going to come to mind for them? It's going to be the YMCA that gave them yoga classes and body workout and 20-minute HIIT classes they could do in their living room with a gallon of milk or with an encyclopedia, right? That's who they're going to go to. So this is a great example to pivot that content. So still show up, still serve your people, give them a chance to escape from what's going on day to day, but then give them the next step. What can they learn? What can they do? Where can they go? Because I don't know about y'all, but I'm hearing from so many of my friends. I'm hearing from friends who have never even kind of dabbled in this like online business, learning things on the internet space, who were messaging me and saying, hey, what are some webinars I can take right now? Hey, what's a course I should buy right now? Hey, who should I follow about this topic or about that topic, or topics across the board? People who are in professional 9-to-5 careers who are now starting to look to this whole online space of us weirdos that, talk about things from our guest bedroom or corner of our master bedroom. They're starting to look and say, oh, well, I'm home. I might as well learn from these people. And I think it's just a really great opportunity for businesses to show up from that place of service with education, with inspiration, with that type of content.
Well, and nobody really knows how things are going to shake out at the end of this.
Yeah.
So we don't know what our return to anything is going to look like. So it's also an opportunity to maybe create a new space for yourself, right?
Hmm. Completely. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, I don't know what conversations maybe you're having with your friends and neighbors and folks that are working 9 to 5s or who are, working those cube jobs. But I think a lot of them are going to realize that going into an office 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, 5 days a week ain't the kind of life they want to be living.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
And
sure.
if anything, like this is going to spur an entire new generation of entrepreneurs. It's going to come, I think it will completely change the way that people get their work done. I think working from home will be more common. I think that employers and organizations are realizing that all these made up rules they have about how people work or when they work or how they get their work done are completely unnecessary. So yeah, I think so much is going to change from this.
You know what's funny? Talk about, the next generation of entrepreneurs. So my middle child, he's a perfect middle child, Mitchell. He started last year, he was doing these Facebook lives where he's my second blind son, and he would do these Facebook lives where we talk about technology he uses. So then when we were sitting around when everything got shut down and there's no school, that he's supposed to be looking at colleges, and he was starting to spiral back into that, like everybody else that was on Twitter, freaking out about all the stuff that they can't do. And I'm like, Mitch, I saw all the A-listers are doing story time, right? And Mitchell loves being on camera. So I'm like, well, you're like an A-lister in your mind. So let's do story time on our Facebook thing for my Thriving Blind community with the book that I had out last year. I'm like, let's just give the content away. Let's read a chapter every week. And he sits there on his electronic brailler. And the first couple of weeks, people were like, oh my gosh, it's Braille. And we were answering questions about Braille and all of that. Then now when you watch him, he's really into it now. Like he acts like he's on the main TV channels, and CNN and all are interviewing him because he talks like he's got this big platform. But he came to me the other night and he was like, he's watching our show and everything. He's like, I think I could totally do this. He's starting a podcast. He wants to branch out with stuff because he wants to eventually go into broadcasting, but he's starting to think differently, to your point of more like entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And where can he have his voice right now instead of sitting here and being frustrated that he can't be visiting colleges and stuff like that. So, and now he's going to be calling the colleges going, so do you have a show that I can watch to get to school? Like,
I love it. Oh my God. It's so cool. Yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah. And he actually just got me. He keeps saying, I'm getting you followers. You realize that, right? Don't you know, I wake up this morning and find out that in my town, my Instagram is listed as one of the top 6 to follow. And there's Mitchell's picture reading the book. I'm like, I can't even admit this to him.
I love it. He's the best hype man there ever was.
Oh, he always says, I'm
what?
a very big deal in my house. That's what he says.
But that brings up actually a really interesting point. These kinds of collaborations that you can also create with different people, right? I mean, you must be seeing that.
Oh, I'm seeing it all over the place. And I think I was just talking with a friend about this the other day. And I think since so much of the kind of the day-to-day shoulds or the day-to-day expectations are just kind of being eliminated. I don't know about y'all, but like, sorry, I can't do this, or this has to be canceled, or I'm just not doing that anymore. Like my favorite things to say right now, because you just like don't have to do what you normally do. Including like showering or putting pants on or, whatever. I am wearing pants, everyone. Okay. But they may be like basketball shorts. But I think it's just giving people this opportunity to do the things they want to do and to say yes to the things they want to say yes to and to have the conversations they want to have. I also think this is giving people a chance to really talk about the stuff they've always wanted to talk about, but they've been scared to say, or they've been scared to talk about.
Yeah, like you said, the shoulds and the rules and everything's changing exponentially across the board. So we can kind of create our own, our own rules right now.
Yeah, which is incredible. So the collaborations are huge. And for folks who are watching right now or who are listening, I mean, this is the chance for you to reach out to those people you've wanted to collab with, to ask to be a guest on a podcast, to ask to create content, to offer to support their community in some way. This is the chance to do it because, I mean, if you don't do it now, as soon as things get back to whatever it's going to look like after this is maybe over, people are going to be back to their same old, sorry, I'm scheduled, I'm booked, I can't, I'm on a trip, I have this, I can't do that. But what are they going to do now? Where do they have to be?
Well, And everybody's looking for connections right now. We are all desperately, because we can't connect with the people that we love. And so everybody's looking for opportunities to connect and reach out and all that. And it's funny, like you said, when we started doing this show, we started thinking, well, who can we ask? So we're just asking everybody, like all these people that we love and we respect, and, you know, people that we may not have already had a relationship with, but what better time to build one?
Exactly.
Yeah, and everybody's saying yes. It's been fantastic. And also, this is the time. Look, people, if you're afraid of failing, this is the time.
This is the time to do it.
Everything's falling apart. So we get to say, I don't know if we're going to go live. A lot of people are. Who knows? We have that when Mary Fran is always saying, don't be married to the outcomes. This is the time. Exactly. Blame the virus, blame the governor, blame everybody else. Oh, my show didn't work out because, I don't know, people were scared. Who cares? Failing is wonderful now.
Yeah. And I tell you that, like, not being married to the outcome, that's been, when people say, like, what has been your secret to success? How did you get everything you have? How did you, like, have this launch or this promo or make this money, whatever? It's that I did it with the expectation it was going to work, but also at the same time, not caring if it did or if it didn't, you know, just like, doing it to do it. Y'all, life is a science experiment, you know, like we don't know if we're going to be here tomorrow. We might as well try some new stuff every day and see how it goes. And, you know, I think this is the time, exactly what you said. This is the time to do it. I don't know if y'all have noticed, are either of you bread makers?
No.
Bread makers?
No. I am an open the package of the loaf maker that I got in the store.
Okay. I like that. I'm not a bread maker either. I'm attempting to be. My husband was diagnosed with celiac disease at the end of last year. So it's kind of like changed our life around here. Thank you. Thank you for your thoughts and prayers. But devastating.
I don't know how you do without gluten, man. I couldn't deal
I know.
with it.
Tell me about it.
Jeez.
But
I'll send you all my low carb, no
sympathies,
carb stuff.
baby, sympathies.
So I'm attempting to make bread, but I don't know if you've seen this, but the number of people online who are attempting to make bread for the first time is that, like, there are legitimate flour shortages right now. People cannot find yeast.
Is that why everybody's looking for yeast?
Yes.
I see one more post about who's got yeast. I'm like, what are they doing with this?
Exactly.
That's what it is?
People are trying, or they're trying to make their own beer, but I think they're trying to make bread. Yes. But think about this. Making bread or making a sourdough starter is the ultimate science experiment. And if you have not done a science experiment since, I don't know, 7th grade, now's the time to do one. Like, do something new. It could be as simple as making a loaf of bread. It could be as simple as planting a garden on your patio. It could be as simple as, you know, listening to your husband as he talks after dinner tonight. You know, try something new. I don't know. But this is the time.
Oh, there's a thought.
Right?
Pay attention to the guy.
But, well, I mean, he's not going to go anywhere, so you don't have to worry about him.
He's not going anywhere.
Be nice. You might have to cut and color your hair.
That's true. It's true.
It keeps going.
But now's the time to do it. Now's the time to try new things. And I think for folks who are listening in and who are thinking, okay, well, what do I try? It could literally be as simple as just posting on Instagram for the first time, or doing a live video for the first time, or just even writing down a portion of your story for the first time. Now's the time to do it, because you've probably never had a chance like this before. And I don't know if we ever will have a time like this where as a world, we're just kind of on pause, and we can think really strategically about what we want our future to look like in times like this. And I was invited to write an editorial for a local blog this week that got published about how this is impacting our community here in Asheville. Asheville is a very tourist-centric town. We have a ton of hotels. We've had a ton of hotels be built here in the past 5 years or so. We rely on visitors, and without visitors, our local economy has just screeched to a halt. And so many businesses are worried about making it past this. And what I wrote in that editorial really comes down to the fact that for Asheville, for you personally, for your business, for your family, whatever, now is the time for you to think really, really strategically, really thoughtfully about whether or not the past that you've had is what you want for your future, and to make those decisions about whatever you need to change to actually have the future you want for yourself.
I love that.
Brilliant.
It is brilliant. I'm writing it down. I'm looking down and writing it down. You're going to be one of our quotes in our journal that we're putting out for sure.
I mean, and I can't remember when I recorded with you on your other show, if I shared the story of my dad and his sudden death and everything that happened with that in 2017. And I won't go into all the details here, but I can just tell you right now that for me, like that was that moment in my life where I had to seriously think about whether or not the life I had been living was the life I wanted for myself in the future.
Yeah.
And I hate that it takes major things like that in our lives. Wouldn't it be amazing if we would just wake up one beautiful sunny Sunday morning and be like, oh yeah, my life sucks.
Let's change.
Let's
This
change
is
it
not
today.
what I wanted.
Right. But unfortunately, I
The
feel like it
God
has,
whispers. I don't
right?
hear the God whispers. He nails me in the head and says,
Exactly. Right.
been whispering.
Yeah. Like you didn't hear it. Okay, great. Let's, someone's going to die, or
Yeah.
we're going to have a divorce, or let's do bankruptcy, or you're going to have a blind kid, or you're going to have to go
Yeah.
through something, or, the world's going to fall apart. There's going to be a global pandemic. And then it's one of those moments where it's like, okay, are you listening now?
Yeah.
And is this what you really
Yeah.
want? Because if not, now's the time to do something about it. You have no better chance in this moment right now to do something about it.
Yeah. It's perfect.
Wow. I
Yeah.
can't tell you what a delight this has been. It's always a delight to talk to you and see what you're up
Thanks,
to,
y'all.
because you're so genuine and you're so caring, and that comes across, and you really want to help people. And boy, did you give us some gems. I took like tons of notes here on this stuff.
Wait, but I gotta know. Are you at least doing Target online? What are you
Oh
doing?
yeah.
Okay, so this is what we're doing. I'm doing some online, like ship to the house orders. Here's what happened. So my husband and I bought our house about a year ago, here in North Carolina, and we've been working slow. Y'all, like getting stuff in a house. First of all, why is every piece of furniture so dang expensive? When did that happen?
It's
Like
ridiculous.
when you want things more than IKEA, it's like, what has happened? So we've been slowly like making our house look nice. And we were like, we'll do the patio, we'll do the backyard next year. Well, now we're home. We have nowhere to go. We want to sit on our patio, which is just a concrete slab. So I went on Target and ordered some little furniture. So that came. But the saving grace right now, y'all, is the drive up, the Target drive up orders. Have you done that?
I haven't done that.
Oh,
No.
it's great. You don't even have to talk to them. You just crack your window a little. They ask your name. You say yes. Pop your trunk. They throw it in there. You go home. And then, of course, when I get home, it's like bringing it all in and then, Clorox wiping every single thing as it comes in the house. But the Target drive up, I've been doing that for the past few weeks. That's been nice. It's also just nice to get out of the house and drive to Target.
And drive your car. I drove the car the other day and I was like, this is weird. What is
I
this
know.
thing that I'm doing? This is
Yeah.
so
You know what I
strange.
did yesterday? I go out once a week to go to the food store, and the kids are like, talk about, 3 teens. Well, one's 20, and they have to ration their snacks and stuff because I'm only going out once a week. I get in the car and I put on my lip gloss before I went into Giant and then put my mask on. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? I laughed the whole time. I've been crying at the food stores, and I finally got over it. I figured out what my problem was. Now I'm hysterically laughing in the Giant. They're probably all still talking about me because I'm like, who's seeing the lip gloss?
I love that. I love that so much.
Tyler, tell everybody where they can get some of your positive energy and find you, and where we can reach out to you during this, because I know people are going to want to.
Yeah, so Tyler J. McCall on Instagram is where I hang out most of the time. And then 2 other links I'm going to give you. The first is tylerjmccall.com/group. So that's what Kristen was talking about earlier. We have a free Facebook group called Post to Profit, where we're sharing content all the time. Every day there's a new post in there all about using Instagram to market your business or brand. And then if you want to go down the rabbit hole of using Instagram to market yourself and want to learn, oh, excuse me. Oh my gosh, if you've ever watched me live, I get like a little nervous burp every now and then, and I don't have one. So I think it's better just to call it out than to pretend like it didn't happen. All right.
Go for it.
And let everybody
Why
think
he's one of our people.
Yeah, I know, right?
Goodness,
I love it.
Okay, and the other place is I have a free Instagram masterclass where I teach my tested and proven method for Instagram marketing strategy. It's at tylerjmccall.com/free. It's a little over an hour long, but let's be honest, where else you got to be right now? So you might as well sign up and tune in. And I'll walk you through my entire Instagram marketing strategy for free during that class, and then talk more about the Follower to Fan Society, which is our Instagram training program as well.
Love it. Love it. I'm so happy you were able to join us today, and switching the schedule around because I have to do a webinar later. You're nice and flexible and fun. Thanks so much for being here.
Of course, y'all. Thanks for having me. It's always a joy talking to you.
It's been
All right, everybody.
Thank you.
That's another episode of Brilliantly Resilient live this time, and we'll catch you on the next one.